veteran leader on this team? Is it Watt, essentially, now, John?
Well, first of all, at that wide receiver position, Bill O'Brien. But it's Rich, I am getting a ticket for changing lanes without using a signal. And
So do you need to go right now, John?
I have got to go because I don't want the cops telling me, get off that cell phone.
John McClain, the long arm
I'm
of the law.
pulled over on the side of Interstate 10.
Okay, well.
Thanks, Red.
Okay, John, you take care. Is everything all right? What happened?
Where were we?
All right, John McClain back here on the Rich Eisen Show. John, are you on a landline? Are you in a car? I need to know this right up front. Where are you?
I am not in a car, Rich.
Okay.
I am in my office at NRG Stadium.
Fantastic. So it's just you and me and no long arm of the law. Right, John?
No long arm of the law.
Okay, very good. So what happened with Ryan Mallett and the coach and the general manager about him? Walk me through what exactly happened with him.
On Saturday morning, players come to Energy Stadium for meetings. Mallett was late. Bill O'Brien went ballistic, told him to go home, but make sure he was on time to come back and get on the bus and go to the airport. Well, he wasn't on time because he didn't show. So they left without him, and they flew him commercially. And O'Brien, who was fed up, wanted to cut him on the spot, which meant the punter, Shane Leckler, would have been the backup quarterback. Rick Smith said, no, we'll do it when we find another quarterback. O'Brien came to his senses. And, you know, what they should have done, Reg, to punish him, they should have made him play against
should have put him in the game. Yeah, should have put him in the game, John, because that's the way it looked like, that anybody in there was going to be mincemeat the way that the Dolphins were playing. So O'Brien, it was a fit of pique that Rick Smith that basically was the more level-headed one, saying we can't go into a game with a punter as our backup and we'll deal with it eventually? Or is it a struggle in a gerrymandered flow chart that's unworkable moving forward, John?
Rich, as you know, coaches and general managers break up when they're successful, not when they lose. You go back to the first one in recent years. Go back to Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. Look around the league, Gruden and McKay, Coward and his, Wolf, Holmgren. Those guys broke up when they won. These guys are terrible. They circle the wagons. O'Brien gets most of the players he wants, not all of them. They have differences, just like all coaches and general managers. But you don't have a power struggle when you're terrible, and they are terrible.
Yeah, you forgot to mention Harbaugh and Balky in San Francisco last year too.
Yeah, when they were winning, and then it went south, and they went 8-8.
So if I'm a Texan fan and I'm hearing you say that, I mean, should they be broken up then? Should they be broken up if they're not going to break each other up, John?
Bill O'Brien has 3 years left on his contract. Rick Smith has 1 year left on his contract. If they continue to play like they did in Atlanta, where they were down 42-0, and Miami, where they were down 41-0, I think Bob McNair will clean house. They've got Tennessee coming in. McNair's been an extremely patient owner. But, Rich, he's been battling cancer. He's older. He wants to win. He wants to go to the Super Bowl. He spent a fortune, and he was angry this week. Let me tell you, he was infuriated, and he let them know it.
So what happens now, John?
They better beat Tennessee and Marcus Mariota. If they don't, it'll be the low point for the franchise. He might fire everybody on the spot. He's not going to do that. They're not going to make radical changes during the season, but they'll let it play out and see what happens. But right now, they're one of the most disappointing teams in the league.
John McClain, Houston Chronicle, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So how do they fill in for Arian Foster, who's out for the year? Is it Alfred Blue, or are they going to go ahead and get a committee at running back?
They're going to have a committee, and it's bad because their offensive line's been getting steamrolled. Their offensive line has done a terrible job of run blocking. Even when Foster was healthy, they averaged 3.4 yards a carry. That was 30th in the league. Last year it was 4.5. So without Foster, I don't know how they're going to run the ball. They're going to have to throw a lot of short passes and use it as a run because the running game has been non-existent for the most part.
I'm going to touch the third rail with you here, John, because we've touched upon it here on this show. There's been a little bit of chatter about it in a Thursday night football meeting room as well as game day morning. What about if there's so many holes here on this team, and clearly it's a quarterback-driven league, and you're supposed to get the quarterback on the ground. But J.J. Watt, despite how great he is, it's not translating into wins. Let's put it that way, John. And it's not his fault. It may be just the nature of the position and the rest of the team. Do the Texans entertain the idea of trading him for a whole host of draft picks to whichever team that might raise their hand and say, we'll take one of the best players in the league, John? Is that under consideration at all?
Unfortunately, defensive ends don't win championships. Quarterbacks do. If they traded J.J. Watt, the fans would burn down this stadium where I'm sitting right now because J.J.'s the most popular player in franchise history, and he's on that Mount Rushmore, the most popular in Houston history.
So that's not even remotely a consideration?
Not even remotely a consideration.
So then how is he handling all of this?
J.J.?
Yeah.
He's not happy at all. He doesn't like to be playing for a loser, but neither do any of the players. But Watt says all the right things. He had 2 sacks Sunday. He'll play against Mariota on this Sunday. And he's not going to go demand a trade because he is entrenched in Houston.
So what's going on in Dallas, too, John? What do you make of the whole Greg Hardy mess? Much ado about nothing, or is this a problem?
Rich, I thought it was preposterous for Jerry Jones after that game to talk about his leadership and the kind of leader he is. He's a walking time bomb. If you give that guy a multi-year contract, you're asking for trouble, because you go back to originally where he got into it in the dressing room in the offseason with a teammate. There's this little pattern developing, and I was glad to see Des Bryant get in his face. And people said Des Bryant shouldn't do that. Well, if you're a leader of the team, you got to step up, because I'll tell you one thing, Greg Hardy's not a leader.
Now, I when I saw that, too, with Des, I thought that he was trying to calm him down, that he was being the peacemaker. And he is the one he is a team leader. He is the one who's flying himself out there on a broken foot trying to be there for his teammates. That's what I thought.
But whatever
John?
he was doing, I thought it was good because he got involved, and that's what you do when you're considered a leader. I thought he was smart.
And I don't know if you saw what our colleague Mike Freeman at Bleacher Report put out there today, saying that last year Mark Trestman made Jay Ratliff a team captain after he was disruptive in a practice and pushing things and items around, and he came back in and he called it a fiery leader as opposed to what it was, which was disruptive presence in the locker room, made him a captain. He lost the team. Do you think that?
Look where Mark is now. He's
right.
in Baltimore.
Do you think that Garrett has an is risking losing the team right now, John?
We're not going to know, Rich, because they don't have Bryant yet. They don't have Romo back. They let Murray go. They're a shell of what they were last year. Only saving grace, division's terrible, second worst in the league. But I don't think we can make that assessment when they do not have talent back. I think if they were there and this happened, of course. But right now, Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett said all the right things. Jerry said the wrong thing. And I can't imagine behind the scenes they're not worried about Greg Hardy.
Houston Chronicle's John McClain joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Baylor has lost their quarterback, Seth Russell, for the rest of the season. He needs neck surgery, and obviously his next level readiness is in question as well. As for Baylor, true freshman Jarrett Stidham is coming in here. Is this going to be a system that's going to help this quarterback, and he's going to step in and Baylor's not going to lose a step? Or you think that Art Briles' national title hopes is taking a major hit right now, John?
I think the national title hopes is taking a major hit. The good thing about playing a cupcake schedule, Rich, is the backup gets to play. Stidham's got more touchdowns and interceptions, and Baylor fans are pumped about it. He came in early as a true freshman. 2 freshmen have started for Briles. Kevin Cobb at the University of Houston, who ended up being a second-round pick of the Eagles, and RG3 when Briles was at Baylor. So Russell had sat behind 2 years learning behind Bryce Petty. He was off to a great start. He's a tremendous prospect, 6'3", 225, can run and throw the deep ball, but he's got to have surgery. They say it's 6-month recovery period. Baylor fans are hoping next year they have a huge controversy because Stidham played great,
right,
just like Ohio State had.
Okay. So would you play the Guess the Schedule game that I normally play with a fan? Would you play that with me right now? Normally, the good folks of Sports Jeopardy on Crackle has me turn to the phone lines and have a fan play Guess the Schedule. I've got the Baylor schedule here right in front of me, and I'll tell you what, it does not look Cupcake City from here on out. I'd love you to go game by game for me. Do you have the Baylor fight song theme for him, too? Okay. Ready, John McClain?
I'm ready.
Okay, here it is. Guess the schedule presented by Sports Jeopardy on Crackle with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle. They beat the crap out of the bye week, correct? They win that one. Everybody wins.
They won that one 80-0.
Okay, very good. Next up, at Kansas State, win or loss?
A win.
That's a win. Home for Oklahoma.
A win. They pounded them in Norman last year. Why not pound them in Waco?
Okay, at Oklahoma State, week 12.
A loss. They always struggle at Oklahoma State.
And then at TCU.
A loss because TCU has a great quarterback and Baylor's secondary is suspect.
And then home for Texas.
They'll beat the Longhorns.
Okay, so 3-2 the rest of the way with the backup QB.
If Seth Russell were playing Rich, I would take them to beat Oklahoma State.
But not TCU.
Not TCU. I thought TCU will win this game because it's in Fort Worth.
All right, John, I appreciate you calling in, and I'm glad that there's nothing on your permanent record based on our conversation this time.
Hey, I've used you to get off several times and several things, and I don't want to have everybody in the country going around saying, well, I was talking to Rich Eisen, but it works.
You're the best, John. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Rich.
You bet. At McClain_on_NFL on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.